very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup with me, Roisin the Cleric.
Today, Roisin, we're delighted to be joined by Ashling Delaney, who has established a new group in Kilkenny called Equal Vibes, which is about creating a social space for people with additional needs, and particularly those people who may be on the autism spectrum. So, Ashling, you're very, very welcome to the Irish Political Roundup.
Very much, Gareth. Thank you, Roisin. Lovely to be
Roisin,
here.
I've been following you for a long time, watching all your social media clips, and especially it's the feeling and the emotion that I'm getting watching the upliftment and the joy at watching children and young adults who can't necessarily have the social outlet and it sounds awful to say this, but in normal everyday discos and entertainment. So I would love to start off with you telling the audience who you are, Ashling Delaney, what Equal Vibes is, and the inspiration of the why that you set up your project and your business of Equal Vibes.
Thanks very much, Roisin. So my name is Ashling Delaney. By day, I'm a learning and development and recruitment manager for a great company. And by night, I do Equal Vibes. And the inspiration behind Equal Vibes is my eldest son, Joe, who is 25, has severe autism and is nonverbal. And he has two brothers and one sister who are younger. And, they were always able to go out any weekend. And I always look across and I see poor Joe left on the couch and he being the oldest. And I thought, it's not very fair that there isn't anywhere for them to go. And, I got thinking about it, and especially over COVID, myself and Joe kind of started doing a few TikToks together, and it just started from there. And now it's outrageous. I mean, it's the amount of fans I think Joe has now. Everybody kind of knows Joe now, even though Joe can't talk. But it's one of those things that it just went from, I don't know, I can't explain it to you. It's all over the world. I get messages from people all over the world about it and the videos that we post and all the rest. And it's really, really heartwarming to see what we have done and what we've created and what we're going to keep doing. So yeah, I love it.
So how did you start off? So how did you start off your very first event, and when, and why was that venue important?
Well, I suppose the big thing was we wanted the areas where, I wanted somewhere that we could go and trial it. I suppose in Carlow, we started in Carlow. We've been in Kilkenny and Tipperary, and we've done that twice. And we also go to a few nursing homes as well, but we don't talk about that. We just do that on Sundays as a special for some people. And what we do is we advertise it, and I kind of contacted some of the special needs schools and tried to contact as many people as I could, especially using social media. We started a page called Equal Vibes, and we have that on Facebook and Instagram and of course TikTok. And people started telling each other about it because everybody knows somebody with special needs, no matter who they are. It's very prevalent now. 22% of people in Ireland have a disability, and all over the world. It's not just in Ireland, so everyone can relate to it, whether it's autism, Down syndrome. It doesn't matter if it's a disability and people are not getting enough attention. And I suppose that's where the name came from, was equal. And then the vibes was to do with the music because, like I said, Joe is nonverbal. He can't talk, but he understands music. He loves the beat and he loves the music. And who doesn't love a little bit of music now and then? It kind of is uplifting, it's heartwarming, and he can do so much with it. And I think people with special needs have a real connection with music because they can kind of feel that vibration coming through them, and they understand it, and it lifts them up. Everybody loves special music, but I really think that people with special needs really are close to that as well.
I can understand the part where being nonverbal. I never spoke until I was 5 years of age.
Wow.
And it was my grandmother. She came over. We were living in England at the time. My grandmother came over, and she used to pray to St. Teresa Little Flower, and she used to pray for St. Teresa for me. And every time we went past flowers, at the forget-me-not flowers beside the house, she would go, flower, flowers, flowers.
Oh.
And then one day she forgot, and I went, I don't know. I said, I must have pointed and said something. Probably couldn't understand the word, but that was the first day I spoke. Then I came back to the house that day, and my mum, it was back in the early 70s, and my mum had one of the first TVs, and I went, television. Now, it probably wasn't television, but it was like my first words. So I can understand the frustration, and from being, I can actually remember the feelings and people not being able to stand me, not being able to talk, but not being able to be verbal is so frustrating and for an individual, you know, and so I can understand that. But no, I just think what you're doing is amazing. So you got the word out there. You started off in Carlo.
Mm-hmm.
But even for anyone who has a disability, is nonverbal, they're still human beings. They still can
Of course.
have the joy. They still want to make friends. They still want to have some kind of social outlet in their lives. It's so
Well,
important, that
I
social
suppose it's so,
interaction.
when you say that, Roisin, like Joe was 25 and he was never invited to a birthday party. And I suppose it's because he can't speak. And I think there's a lot of people like Joe that haven't been invited. And I often say to people, you know, tell me the last time you saw someone with Down syndrome scoring a goal or hitting a ball over the bar playing hurling with autism. And I think there wouldn't be too many. And that's the community, you know, people talk about communities and spirits and support. You know, where's the support for people with special needs? And I suppose I'm definitely an advocate of it because of Joe, you know, but I see so many Joes around the place and Marys and all types of people and different things, and they just don't get the same level of things. Like they'll never get the same um things that a normal person can achieve and go for. So I think doing this, like part of the process with this is that we bring people up on the stage, and for their carers or their parents or their mothers, when they're down and they're sitting on the chair, they're literally buckets of tears coming down their eyes because it's the first time that their son or daughter has ever been recognized and feels special. And that's the joy that we bring, you know, because it doesn't matter if they're not Elvis Presley's or Tina Turner's. We don't care. Everybody in that room, they are Tina Turner to us that night, and they are
They
Elvis
are
Presley.
simply the best.
They are simply the best, and they really are. And I mean, you can see some of the videos, like the joy and the smiles on their faces, and from their cares as well. I don't think I have a video that there isn't somebody actually smiling in it. And that's the greatness about it, you know, because it really does bring people together. I've had lots of support. I'm in Network Ireland, Kilkenny. A lot of the ladies came over. I had Karina. She made a lovely candle with Equal Vibes. Karina melted her day away, just want to say that. And then I had Bernie the Moon Tour, she does poetry with people. So like you have so many different people that can warm into it because it's such a wide range. Like with disabilities, it can touch so many different branches and avenues, you know. And I suppose this was the one that we felt, well, for me personally, that there wasn't one for Joe. We're actually in the middle of doing a programme now with Aura in Kilkenny, where every Wednesday night we're going to have people in there and we're going to do special things. And it's all hush hush at the moment because it's starting this Wednesday night, and it's going to be amazing. And you can see it all maybe going through on our social media. But it's really, really exciting, and it's exciting for. I feel more excited than they are, and I know what's going to happen. So, you know,
Wow.
yeah, so it's really, really good. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely amazing. And what would you say? What was the kind of the the fuse that the spark that lit? Where did you get the idea to go out and do this? Would you say COVID was the driver?
Yeah,
You were
COVID.
doing a lot of TikToks and stuff like that, but
Yeah,
I suppose it was just the reaction on social media probably you know
absolutely. Yeah, I
kind
did.
of
I put up.
probably
I
sparked the idea in your mind.
Yeah. Well, I did a video and I did it from the heart and I kind of explained it. Like the very first video we put out was kind of like Joe at home and actually Joe getting a little bit angry with myself. And look, let's face it, we all know that can happen with frustration. You know, especially with people with special needs, and autism can be, you know, they can trip a switch very quickly and things can happen. And I have found for sure since this has happened that Joe has calmed down. His behavior is much better. He sleeps at night. He's excited. You know, I have t-shirts with the Equal Vibes logo on it, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, Joe could come up to my room with the t-shirt on and an electric guitar and want to play a bit of music. But you know, it calms him down. I'd rather that than him coming up
Yeah,
and pulling me out of the bed. You know,
yeah,
and you know, it definitely has changed his mindset on happier. And we play music at home, and the TikToks. We did that during COVID, you're right, Paul, because there wasn't really anything else to do. And I suppose I wanted to keep his mind going because I think people with special needs were kind of let down during COVID, you know, especially autism, their routine of going
so
to school and doing
completely
all them
strong.
things
Yeah,
suddenly stopped. And there was no concession. There was nothing done for people with special needs during COVID. Everybody else got some kind of grace. With people with special needs didn't get anything. They didn't get anything, and it really did affect some people. And we were very lucky, as I said, that we kind of brought the music into it. That
Yeah.
definitely did help for sure.
Do you think
And
there
what? Sorry.
Do you think there's so much negativity around children with disabilities, as Jeanette Delahunty calls it, neurodiversity, and anyone that there's so much negativity that is around? Have I did I lose out the society? Is there so
You
much
froze
society
for a second, yeah,
bias?
but you're back up and
Am
running
I
now, yeah.
back?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find with people living with autism, disabilities, or as Jeanette Delahunty was saying, neurodiversity, neurodiversion, so much societal bias that they're left out at the corner, outside looking in at other children and other people having a life?
Well, for sure, because look, let's face it, we're all fighting to get services. Because look, between speech therapy, occupational therapy, behavioural therapy, there's all different types of therapy, and there isn't enough therapists to cover that. Because when Joe was diagnosed, it was 1 in 10,000. Now it's 1 in 7, and that's a big change with some kind of a disability. And I'm talking about just in the autistic spectrum. I mean, there is, we see, if you're affected by it, you have that kindness inside you, you understand. But if you're not affected, you can't understand what it's like. I know many parents with autism, with a child with autism, probably feel like a prisoner in their home sometimes because they're afraid to bring him out. Maybe something might go wrong. And, if there isn't that, oh my God, I suppose myself, I was similar to that. And then I kind of said, my brother played a lot of hurling with Kilkenny, and we used to travel up and down to Croke Park, and we'd go all the way, go in as far as Croke Park, and then someone might get a goal and be loads of people shouting, and we'd have to leave. And every time we do that, we go an extra 5 minutes, until suddenly he was able to stick the match. And sometimes you just have to stick with it in order for them to go over it. And looking at someone with autism in a shop, they could be screaming on the floor, banging or whatever, and they look like they're a child that's being bold or brazen, when really it's autism, but other people
Yeah.
don't understand. You can't have a tag to say, by the way, he's autistic, because they don't look autism. You can't see if somebody has
Yeah.
autism. Whereas Down syndrome is, you might know if somebody has Down syndrome, and you can understand it. But with autism, people don't. And it even myself, when Joe got diagnosed, I didn't know what autism was. There wasn't even the internet. I had to go home and look up an encyclopedia. And even with that, I wasn't sure what it meant. It's such a vast subject, and like there's still no cause and there's still no cure, which is
Mm.
incredible. At this, with the world we live in at the moment, because obviously it's something to do with the genes or the brains or chromosomes, but we haven't got that far yet, for the world to understand what's going on with autism. It's a huge, big concept, and there's so many different types of it now. It's all being pushed into the one bracket. So, I don't know, but I just know that with Equal Vibes, if you have a son or daughter and has them tendencies, it doesn't matter, because once you come into that room with everybody else, nobody's going to judge you. Your son can go mad, your daughter can go mad, and you can go mad. And we really emphasize it as well for the carers as well to take part, because it's something that they can do together. Like, families can come out. We had a Christmas party in Tipperary, and families, mothers and fathers, came with their sons or daughters to enjoy a Christmas party that they could all celebrate together, and people wouldn't be pointing a finger or looking at them, that everybody can just be one and enjoy. And the social part as well, the people, like my son now has friends that when he goes, they dance together, which is the first time in 25 years. And I absolutely love that. To see the smiles on their faces, even though they can't talk, they know they're there together and they can dance away. It's just lovely.
It must be very emotional for you as a mother to see just even your son going out there and having friends and dancing for the first time, but also look what you have created. So if this is happening for your son for the first time, having friends, going out and having this
It just froze there for a
your
second.
life and your son's life, but in 1 in 7,000 children here in Ireland.
Yeah, 1 in 7. One in
One in
seven children.
seven. Oh, 1 in 7.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 1 in 7.
Mhm.
So in 1 in 7 children,
Mm.
the difference
Well,
that you've
that's
made in their lives.
yeah. Well, look, I mean, as I said, we're only getting out there now. People are getting to know us. It's after taking off like a rocket. We have people contacting us from Kerry, Cork, America, Orlando, Spain. I could name out all these countries, and that's the beauty of TikTok, because it's global. And we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we have people commenting, sending us goodwill messages. And, it's just fantastic. It's really fantastic because, as I said, it's not just in Ireland that people have disabilities, it's all over the world. One in 5 people have a disability, unfortunately, whether it's mental illness or whatever kind of an illness, but it's all classed under the one bracket now. And it's huge to know that 1 in 5 people need support.
That's a massive percentage of
Yeah.
1 in 5 and 1 in 7 people. That's massive.
It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's actually 22%, as far as I know, of people have a disability, which is more or less 1 in 5 people. I'm not a doctor. I'm only a mother, and I just can see the difference from when Joe started to what it is now, because people relate to you. If you say, "Oh, I have someone with autism," someone else with it, they kind of contact you and maybe ask advice and support. And I get an awful lot of that as well. People that are starting the journey, because I know when I started first, I didn't really have anyone, and I joined a group. It was a really brilliant group, Lee Shoffley Families for Autism, and we amalgamated together. And I really found that was very supportive, because there's lots of things there that you don't feel like you could ask somebody else, like, for instance, smearing or things like that. It's not something you can ask somebody else. You need to know someone else that has been in that situation, that maybe not only can you ask them, but also find out how to prevent it, how you stop it. What do I need to do? Should I be going mad, or what do I do? Because when you're a first-time mother or father, you really don't, there's no course to say this is what you do now when you have a child with any disability. And it really is hard. I think for me, I felt like I was grieving at the beginning, because it was like somebody died in the house, because I just didn't understand that this was going to be here. And there was an awful lot of uphill battles that we had throughout the course of Joe's beginning, because, as I said, nobody really knew what it was. But I have to say, this for me is the icing on the cake. I feel the happiness when I go in. Like, I can't wait to start in Kilkenny now on Wednesday night, and everybody there, and we're just going to have the best time, and they're going to be so excited for this every Wednesday night, that they'll be bursting to come, and that's the whole point of it. And at the end of it, we're going to do a show with all the people that are in it, and we're going to make a show which will be really good, and they will be back up on the stage, and everyone will be clapping for them, and it'll be great. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And Ashling, for anyone who hasn't been to an Equal Vibes event, what can they expect, and what does it look like?
Okay, so obviously we have our stage, and in front of the stage we have an area where people can dance, and behind that then we have seats for people to sit, and behind that again we have people that can just sit down and just stay away if they don't like loud music. So we're trying to cater for people, put them in lights, put them in darkness, and putting them up right at the front. So I let them all know at the beginning, look, if I bring you up on the stage, you're going to be on camera. And I go down and I start talking to them, and I actually kind of interview them while they're sitting down, and then figure out, well, would they like to come up or whatever. And they usually just say, they usually catch my hand and they want to come up. And then when they come up, then we do a sit down, we do a little bit of an interview, and then we might decide on what they might do. So for instance, we had a guy, and he did Ed Sheeran, and we put a little bit of costume on him. Now, he was lip syncing it, but everybody was singing with him, you know what I mean? And it was really lovely. And as I said, they're the little moments that we have. And like, not everyone is Elvis Presley, but we'll help along with it. We'll turn on a bit of music to give them help. And everybody, as I said, sings along with them as well. So they feel like that at the moment. And I bring people up, and we might do a band. So they all have to work together as a team, so yeah. So not everyone can sing, so they might be in a band instead, or they could be doing different games. We bring them up, and we bring up the carers as well. We do games. We do things that make people happy and that they're able to do, which is important. And if they're not, we try something else. But we never know until the night. We never know until the night, because we have different people that come to different events. And as I said, not everybody wants to come on stage. But by the end of the night, they all do. They really do, because they're trying to suss you out at the start. Who are you? What about? So I remember the last time in Kilkenny, in McAdoo Hall there, we had a guy that came in. He was the first person there. He was there at 6:30, and the show didn't start till 7:30. And he came in, and he sat in the back row with his carer. And I came in, and I was like, he was first there, and I just shook hands with him. And then he came up to the kind of the middle row. Then he came up towards the top, and he ended up winning Dancer of the Night.
Wow,
So,
amazing.
he pushed himself up. He was coming up as we were going along, but by the end of the night, he ended up winning a competition, which was the Dancer of the Night, because he's got so involved in it. But he just needed to build up that trust, and they needed to know what I was about.
Mm,
They were kind of wondering, because they have to understand when they see their friends going up, well, you know what, if he can do it, I can do it, or she can do
mm,
it, and that's what's lovely about it. And I bring them up, and they decide themselves then what they'd like to do, and we make it just amazing on the stage. I have a brilliant DJ. Her name is DJ Moll, and
yeah.
she's ready to go. So if they say, look, I want to be whoever, we're ready to go with that, and we have to be
And who
instant.
who
Yeah.
seems to be the most popular? You mentioned Ed Sheeran. Who goes down with
Well,
popular? Who did it? Who did it want to sing
we have
like?
a
Is
lot. We had a lot, like over Christmas now. I had Band Aid. So
okay,
we had the whole band aid on the stage. So we had different people, obviously, I think with 14 in the band, and they all sang a line. And then
brilliant.
all together. Then they all did it together. And so we kind of do things like that they're all amalgamate so that they're helping each other along. And they're like I said, they could be
Mm,
playing a musical instrument, or they could be singing, or they could be just dancing. Whatever they're able to do, we'll go with that. And that's the beauty of it. As I said, I can't ever determine what's going to happen on the night. They determine it.
mm,
I'm just the host. Their
yeah,
actual show, you know.
yeah.
And yeah,
That sounds
yeah. Look,
brilliant.
as I said, it is. Like we're on the social media channels. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram.
Mm,
We're going to have our own website shortly, equalvibes.ie. I'm getting the whole thing set up 100%. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes as well. I even doing a GoFundMe page shortly as well. So just to try and get more products, more things up, because at the moment everything is coming out of my own pocket.
mm,
So I'm hoping that might help with like I give a lot of presents as well. So if they're up on the stage and they do
yes.
something, they all get a present. And I suppose
Uh-huh.
I want to give them all a present, but you have to pay for it like myself. So I feel like sometimes you need a little bit of a help. Hopefully, this could be made more profound and all over, as I said, the country, because as I said,
Yeah.
what's happening for people with special needs in the communities? And I see grants being handed out for everything and anything, and I'm like,
Mm,
maybe, because I think they deserve something like that. Why shouldn't they
Do.
get something? If it was only
absolutely.
once a month, at least they have something there.
Mm,
Hmm.
And they're making
Yeah.
friends. And
Yes.
friends is the most important thing with social interaction and friendship.
Yes.
And then they're
absolutely.
having that social night out. They're having a
Hmm.
social life and be able to dance and sing. That just
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
both of
really
them.
is. I know, but I know what she's saying,
Yeah.
Roisin. You're absolutely right, and that social interaction is so badly needed. Because, as I said, Joe has no friends, but now he does. Now he
Wow.
does, and others the same. Because I've seen him coming to, like I said, we've had shows in Kilkenny and Carlow, and they've come to both shows to meet each other. And the same in Tipperary. It's like they're meeting each other once a month. That it's their kind of their night together, and they can get out and dance. And everybody dances with each other. There's no one too small or too high. Everybody dances with each other, and it's wonderful to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brilliant concept. And actually, you mentioned about your own son Joe. Since
Hmm.
he's been going to these events, you notice a whole different. He's much calmer and stuff like
100%. Yes. Yes.
other carers. I've spoken to you, since my son or daughter, we've seen a big difference. I'm sure you get a lot of feedback like that.
I do, and I mean, for me, it's like I said, after doing a show, you get all these comments, and they put it in how wonderful and the night they had, and all the rest. And there's like, when's the next one? When is the next one? That's what I keep getting messages from. When's the next one? When's
That's
the
the best
next
one
one?
to
And
hear.
yeah, well, there is. I would have had one on, only my mum passed away there just
Oh,
over
I'm
Christmas.
Oh,
So
sorry.
sorry to hear that.
no, that's okay. That's okay. It was the week after Christmas actually. So I said we'd leave it for a month or two just to kind of get things right again. But yeah, look, I'm still doing work in the background. We are going to have a show in March with the program that I'm doing here in Kilkenny, and we're going to have a show in March as well over in Tipperary, and probably going to go nationwide.
Brilliant.
But as I said, I was just one step in front of the other and trying to get it all done, because I really think it should be just everywhere. I'd love to bring this into schools,
Yeah,
you know, and have that part of their curriculum, to have it that they can just look forward to something to enjoy and do. And, you know, it's just so uplifting and upbeat, and
yeah,
why shouldn't they get it, you know? And
Yeah.
we've big plans. You're going to see a lot of things
yeah,
happening now in the next few weeks that are going to be amazing again. And like I said, the
exactly.
TikToks alone tell the story. I don't need to do anything. The TikToks tell the story, you know, or the
Yeah,
videos. Yeah.
They do.
it,
And as
Mm.
they say, every picture tells a story. So the TikToks,
mm,
and not only that, I was just thinking about the self-confidence. But I remember when
mm,
I was younger, the best part of going out
yeah.
to wear.
Frozen. Yeah,
I missed that part. The best part of going out was what?
Sorry, was just getting ready, doing my hair, my makeup,
Yeah,
and deciding what I was going to wear, and
yeah.
even going shopping for the clothes as well.
Mm,
So that must be a whole new concept, and even
mm.
yeah.
excitement for your participants and for your my internet's gone.
Yeah,
Has it
yeah,
gone?
I
No.
can hear you. No, no, I can hear you loud and clear.
yeah. And that is 100% true. I had one chap, and I won't say his name, but he was after having a really bad seizure, had to get the ambulance the morning of the
God.
show, but nothing, he had to come to the show, and he still came. He
Wow.
just, no matter what, he was going to the show. And I think that's something, because they've just have something to look forward to. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mm,
know when we do this training, well, it's not training, when we're doing this program with everybody, and then 6 weeks later we're doing the show, you know, they're going to be so excited about it because they're part of it, and people are going to come and see them and clap for them. And, you know, and it's such a great feeling that they have that behind them, and they're so supportive. I couldn't say enough about Aura. They are so good to them in there. Each one of the carers and all the staff and all the bosses in there, they are just, they treat them like their own children, and they're so good to them, and it's going to be amazing. That's what I can say now. I'm
wow.
really looking forward to that. Yeah,
You're really
yeah,
giving children and young adults, or anyone living with autism or disabilities, you've really given them a new sense of purpose in life.
yeah,
100%.
yeah. And more, because there's so much talent out there,
Yeah.
Roisin. I mean, they're just dismissed. As I said earlier on, yourself and Paul, when's the last time you saw someone with Down syndrome kicking a ball for their club over the bar, or someone with autism scoring a goal? It just doesn't happen. They don't get the same they don't get the same. I don't feel like they get the same what's the word? Use
Acknowledgement?
It's,
Acknowledgement. Yeah, I suppose
mm,
that's the word. I mean, they just don't. They don't. They're, because my son doesn't speak. Nobody speaks to him after he doesn't talk.
Oh,
Well, look, that's the way it is. It is. People don't have time anymore. Everyone is too busy
too
to
busy.
understand. Yeah, and it's not just now. This Joe's 25. I don't think he's ever had really people sit down beside him and have a conversation, bar his family and friends, well, family, um, because they can't, because Joe doesn't talk back, so, you know, they don't bother. And Joe is just one of thousands and thousands of children or adults with special needs that are non-verbal. And yes, he understands everything, and no matter what you tell him, he'll do it. But it's just, it's not the same. Like if you're sitting down,
They're
like when I saw,
invisible. They must feel
yeah,
invisible.
well, they do. And that's why they get so frustrated, because they're trying to tell you something, you're not taking it in what they mean, you know, and then they can lash out. And it does happen quite a lot, that lash outs happen. And I suppose I put that in my first video of one of the times when Joe did do that, because I wasn't going to hide what autism is. There's no point saying it's all
yeah,
hunky dory, because it really isn't. There has been very difficult times in all the times that Joe has been growing up. We've had many, many scenarios, but I don't talk about the negatives. I always think about the
Yeah.
positives. And the positive is that we're in the right direction, and that, you know, please God, that this will stay going even when I'm not
mm,
here, that people can go out and that they're treated the same as anybody else, and that they can enjoy
yeah,
tonight, and people aren't staring at them or looking at them and pointing their fingers or mocking them. You know,
Oh,
them days are gone. But that does happen, unfortunately. But like, not in our space, it doesn't, because
no.
anyone that comes to it are there to support and
Yes.
love them and cheer them on. And it's just it's a completely different, you're walking into a room, and you're just like, you just can't believe it, because everyone is so happy. There's no one not happy. They're all smiling, and they're just willing them to do whatever they want to do. And no matter what they do, it's
mm,
still going to be amazing. And it just really does your heart does be warmed after it. And I have to say, I love
Yeah.
every night I come up
Yeah,
with somebody new and somebody else, and it's a different story. And whether it's the carer, because sometimes the mothers and fathers have a pretty tough time too.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah, exactly.
and they kind of get forgotten. When you bring somebody home with autism and they're in the house, a lot of things can go on. And I don't mean autism, I mean any special needs. You take someone that's wheelchair, having to get them out, go to the toilet, dress them, feed them, all them things. And anyone that's a carer or has someone like that will understand what I mean. Your life is not your own when you are looking after somebody with those needs. So it's a great time for them to get out and let them, like, they're out dancing with them as well. They're enjoying the night as well as everyone. And they're mixing with other carers and they're getting some advice and they're getting some support. Like, what did you do with him? And how did you cure this? Because one little thing that you might tell a parent could mean such a difference, and it could just save them so much time and energy. And that was one of the things I found when I was in the group. If you do talk to someone that has been in that scenario, they can certainly help you. Maybe just a little bit of advice that could really, really help. So reach out to people and don't be afraid to pick up the phone. I say to people as well, touch base with them. Social media is so prevalent now. You can just send a message to anybody, and they'll answer fairly sharply. I'd say most people will. And anyway, if anyone sends me a message, I certainly do. If I don't, I send back a video answering as many questions I can. I might do one video and answer 20 questions in the one video to cover the amount of people messages. But I really do feel it's a great place to have people. And I feel even on the page when I put up a video, I see parents talking to each other in the comments, asking questions, and then they're getting answers, which is wonderful. And they're helping out each other and they're sending private messages to each other because they're on that page. Because suddenly now, well, they can connect with each other. And it doesn't matter if they're in America or if they're in Kenny or Tipperary, it's still the same problem and it's still, a fixable. Fixable. I don't mean that
Yeah,
there's all problems, but it just certainly helps, yeah, to talk to someone in the same scenario as yourself.
You
yeah,
really, when
absolutely.
I'm listening and what I've been watching,
Yeah.
oh, am I
Okay.
still here?
Hold there.
Yeah, am I
Still
here?
here, yeah,
No,
yeah, you're back.
internet problems.
Yeah.
As I said at the beginning of the interview, what I really, since I've been watching you, was a sense of
Mm,
upliftment, feeling, and happiness of watching other
mm,
children who with autism or disabilities start to actually have fun and start finding a little bit of happiness and an
Yeah.
outlet, social life in their lives. But it must also bring so much joy to parents' faces and hearts to actually see their children having fun, having
Mhm.
friends, having a social.
Yes.
yeah.
You there? Fill
Yeah,
their
you're back.
Yeah.
parents with heart, love. I'm sorry for my internet.
You're okay. You're okay. Listen, I think we have all
Yeah.
had a few connections there this
Yeah.
morning, but
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
blame storm. We'll blame the storm. But no,
Yeah, exactly.
Rushing, you've seen it yourself there with videos and the comments and the amount. Like I get videos and they could get 30 or 40,000 likes. Um, videos just take off, and people are from America and they're texting me back and messages coming in from all over the world, which is so so wonderful to see, and it really is heartwarming. And you don't understand it until you're there. You
Yeah.
really can't understand it. And if you're a parent with special needs, you'll understand it twice as much and you'll feel it because, like I said, I'm on the stage and I'm looking down and I can see the
Yeah.
parents at the bottom and they're recording it on their phone and the tears are coming down their eyes as they're doing it with happiness. And it's just, I'm up at the stage and I'm just feel so honored to be making this happen. Do you know, if that makes sense? I feel like they are so happy. Both of them are so happy. The person on the stage is so proud of the person that they're actually looking at them and they're actually taking stock of them. And suddenly there's somebody and everybody in the room is clapping for me. And suddenly they're like, this is great.
Yeah.
you know. So it's wonderful for that. And we've had repeat performances from people that come back up on the stage because they've done so well the first time. They come on, when are you coming back? Can I please go up on the stage again? And I'm like, of
Yeah.
course you can. Because they're stars. They're stars in their own rights, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And it just goes to show as well the power of music. Because remember, it
Oh
said
yeah.
to me before, I was talking to somebody, and they said, no matter his mood, whether he's up or he's down, if you listen to music, you always feel better. And I know there's studies done that there's certain types of music that are very, very uplifting. I believe 70s music,
100%.
for
Yes.
example, is meant to be 70s, 80s is supposed to be really, really
I wouldn't know that,
uh,
Paul. I wasn't there.
up. So, must be really uplifting. But like music, it's a brilliant
Oh,
hobby
it really
for
is.
anyone, whether you're playing it or listening to it,
Yeah.
and anybody that's, that can play music and has helped you out, it's brilliant to be able to pass on that talent, and you're bringing a lot of joy to people. So, music is really powerful.
I'll tell you a story. So on Wednesday morning,
Yeah.
I was on my way up to Dublin. I actually got selected to a lead role in a film. It just happened at the weekend.
No?
Long story short, and I was going to be a private detective in a film, and I was going up on Wednesday morning. I was stuck in a bit of traffic on the way up to Dublin, and decided to do a voice note. I'm in Network Ireland, Kilkenny, and it was actually the 5th of January. And I told him in the voice note sorry, it was the 5th of February, but the 5th of January, and 1 month prior to that, I had buried my mother. She died that
Mm.
day, and what can happen within a month. And I just kind of started talking to the girls, and I was just explaining. I was just saying, you know, be Whitney Houston, turn up your radio, go
Mm.
and dance and play it and be that person in the car. No one's going to mind, but it's so good to get that frustration out. If you're singing and you're
Yeah,
belting it out, provided you have the windows down, no one's going to go on to you. Well, my windows are not to be up anyway. But
yeah,
what it does is it just gets out that frustration that's within you.
yeah,
And we all love to sing, no matter what.
yeah.
You could be Pavarotti, or you can be
Oh, yeah.
whoever you want to be, but it's a great sense of getting out, anger sometimes as well. If you're frustrated
Yeah.
or whatever, it's just belting it out there. It gets it all off your chest. And I think we all need a bit of that at times, just to kind of
Mm.
keep ourselves sane at times as well, because we all have problems. There's always things
Yeah,
going on,
exactly. Yeah.
but you have to try and think of the positives. And I always look at the cup half full rather than
Mm.
empty. And I'm
Absolutely.
very
Yeah.
lucky that this has taken off, and that people are so supportive. And like I said, the messages that we have got in, it's not just ones or twos. I'm talking thousands and thousands of messages, which is kind of hard to do when you're working and trying to reply to them. So I reply everything in a video. I make the video, and I come out, accumulate all the messages together and try and give all the answers in that video, rather than trying to text everybody, because I like I said, I work full time as well, so I just can't do both.
Mm.
And I dedicate a certain amount of time to Equal Vibes, and a certain amount of time to my job, and a certain amount of time to my family. So trying to spare it all out, and a little bit of time for sleep as well. And in between, get out there and enjoy. But I really love it, because so many people are coming in to give you little ideas, and they're saying maybe you should try this, maybe, and they're wonderful, and they're all trying to help. I don't get me wrong, but I just feel you can't predict what's going to happen on the night.
Mm.
On the
Mm.
night, you're on the stage, you could be meeting anybody, and it doesn't matter. We'll go with whatever suits them. And to make them feel that they're confident on the stage, and they're not fretting, and they're not scared and not worried, that they are delighted and they're belting it out up there. And that goes, like I said, for the carers as well. We've had a lot of carers that came up and really were amazing, and just danced and really kind of got everybody else going as well. So we've had plenty of nights where, you know, everybody combined together, worked together to make it just an amazing night. So yeah, and lots more to come, lots and lots more to come. It's only starting, and as I said, if anybody wants to reach out, I'm here. I'm social media, Equal Vibes, and we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. We'll have a website soon, and we'll have loads of dates coming out, which we're, I suppose, going on tour. Um, but it's just to put it all together, and that's the plan now for the next few little while.
And Catherine, Paul and I both on me and my previous radio program, I used to talk about autism and people with disabilities. And Paul, you still continue to talk about this
Yeah, we
on
talk
your
about it. Yeah,
radio
from time to time.
program.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we brought it out onto the Irish Political Roundup and Confident Women Ireland. Will you keep us updated
Oh, yes.
of everything that you want to do? If there's anything you want us to know, or even events?
Oh, I'd love that. I will love that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, that would be absolutely. I mean, any support that we can get, anyone that's there to advertise it or help us
Yeah.
along the way, we'd be very grateful. As I said, it's just a kind of a one-man band at the moment. So I intend to make this huge and much bigger, and all over Ireland,
Oh,
and maybe a little bit global as well.
you
Because
know,
just like I said, there's disabilities everywhere. It's just not in Kilkenny, or
very true.
Tipperary. It is, unfortunately. But like I said, if we can make their lives a little bit better, that's the plan.
But
Yeah.
you know what? Spreading love, spreading happiness, spreading joy
Yeah.
is a gift in itself. But when
Just froze there.
But
Poor
when you're
Roisin needs to
doing,
get an
yeah,
You're
answer.
back.
but when you're doing it with people who have no voice, who have
Yeah,
no social outlet, who feel invisible, and
Mm,
you're giving them purpose, you're giving them visibility, you're giving them life, and
yes,
that is the most precious thing that you can give is
you're
someone
right.
that love, and that's love.
It is, and you're 100% right. And a lot of them don't have voices, so we create that.
Yeah.
As I said, whether it's going to be dancing wise or whether it be moving or whatever the case may be, they have the best night. So like
exactly.
that chap, yeah, like I could give you so many examples, and I could be here on
Mm,
this all day, and but I don't. I think you're so superb, and thank you so much for having me on to spread this word out there and to try and get the voice out there for people with special needs, that there should be more support for them in communities. There should be,
yeah.
you know, that time that maybe they do kick a ball into the goal.
Yeah.
And why shouldn't they? Why
Why
shouldn't they?
shouldn't they?
You know,
Why not?
um,
And why not have everyone cheering them on and everybody supporting? And if
yes,
we see anyone, any children with or parents with child who may be having a little moment, support
yes,
them, give them that space and that
yes,
place
Mm,
and that time, and see if there's
yes,
anything that you can do to help them. And
yes. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Roisin. Rather than
mm,
pointing the finger, go over and chat to them.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's unfortunately a lot of people point the finger instead, like, or
Mm,
get their phones out to video instead of going over and actually
Jesus,
talking to them. I know, but that's the world we're in. But maybe after today they might just think about that and they might
yeah,
actually
yeah.
go over and help them.
Exactly.
And that's what's needed in the world because kindness doesn't cost anything.
it
And I
doesn't
suppose
cost anything.
my most
Yeah.
my famous saying that I always use for people is, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Yes,
True.
Mm. And I
and
think if everybody stuck with that,
yeah,
we'd have a great world.
and you're bringing a purpose and attention and a social life and friendship, enjoyment, laughter, and dancing and everything for so many people, Ash. And I just think, thank you for doing that for humanity because what you're doing something very purposeful for humanity, and that's what needed. We need more people to do things like this, and
We do.
if we can help promote that or help you in any
Oh,
way,
Mm,
we're here
yeah.
for
I'll
you.
be back to you.
Absolutely.
I'll be back to you, both. I will, of course,
And
and hopefully my internet will be a bit better the next day. But
God.
I can't thank you both enough for having me on the program. I really do appreciate it. And
Mm,
every time we get the word out there, it's another day. And as I said, we're gonna do our very, very best to try and get this up and going as many places we can. And hopefully that will happen in the very near future. And that's the plan.
absolutely.
Well,
Hmm.
Ash,
And Roshan, we will include for our viewers, we will include all the links to Equal Vibes in the
Please
description.
do. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that, Paul. I really appreciate it. And we're like, I think when I started the page, we had two followers, and now we've 38.8 thousand. So we've gone up a
wow.
little bit. Yeah, we've gone up a little bit. All right. Yeah. So yeah, that's because people are so interested in it. And like I said, the comments, the messages, I never
Mm,
yet had one bad message, no trolls, none of that. People are
very
so
good.
kind. And I think it's because, as I said, everybody knows somebody with special needs
Hmm.
and they can relate to it, and they see that they're bringing a little bit of joy to somebody that really could do with it. And it's more so as well for parents and carers because of course when your child is happy, you're happy.
Yeah,
And the carers are so kind and so caring that sometimes they feel like they are like a brother or sister
yeah.
or mother and father kind of relationship because they really want the best for them. And I have only met the nicest of people throughout this. I have to say they are just so kind to them and help them and really want them to be happy and just doing their best. And we had a couple of storms there, a few of the nights that we did it, and they still
Yeah.
brought them out. They
Wow.
came through the storm, people coming out in wheelchairs, and they could have been blown to kingdom come, but no, they came in and I said, well, look, if they're making the effort to come, we're going to have to give them a good show, and we did.
Right.
So yeah, yeah. So look, thanks very much. I can't think of anything else I have to, unless I'm delighted to have been on, and I really appreciate it, and I can't thank you both enough for having me on. So
The first of very, very many, we hope in
I hope
future.
so. I hope so. I hope so.
Ashling
Yeah.
Delaney, a founder of Equal Vibes, thank you so much for taking the time of your day and away from your family on this Sunday to come and talk to Paul and I on the Irish Political Roundup.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
coming
for
on,
having me
Ashley.
both. Thank you
Look
very
forward
much
to
for
speaking
having
to you
me. It
again.
was a pleasure. It was a pleasure and an honor, and hope to see you soon again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.